Okay, in this session we're going to talk a little bit about attitude because let's first of all define attitude. Attitude is the complex interaction between feelings and beliefs that affect how we view the world and therefore how we react to it. Because it affects how we view the world and how we react to it, that's what other people see. Since other people see how we react to it, they react to us in the same way. So our attitude determines not only how we react to the world, but how other people react to us. If we are trying to develop a more supportive network, and our attitude does not put that out, despite how we might feel inside, or despite how we might be trying to cover how we feel inside, other people will not respond to us in the way that we need. Conversely, if our attitude is not supportive to what we're trying to do, in this case, get through the holidays while staying in control, other people will see that, they won't be as supportive, and more importantly than other people seeing it, we're just going to feel bad and we're going to feel fake, and that's going to throw us off track. In addition to that, we might find ourselves getting grumpy, we might find ourselves getting angry, we might find ourselves being unhappy, and all of those, of course, as we have talked about before, are part of the eating cycle and will then trigger us to eat. Therefore, if we wish to change the eating cycle, we have to change our attitude. I'm assuming that makes sense. So let's take a look over here at what attitude is. And as you can see, I've put this graphic up here that says attitude is, as I just described, the complex interaction between feelings and beliefs that affect how we view the world. So none of these are logic. So if you are saying to yourself, I should not feel this way, or somebody's telling you just get over it, I mean, how well does that usually work? It doesn't, because they're appealing to a logical side. Attitude, the way we act, the way, or what triggers us to act, is determined based on how we feel and what we believe. So out of the two of these, feelings or beliefs, which one is easier to change? Well, beliefs are closely held values we accept as fact and we validate by observation. In other words, they are things that are not proven to us, but we've accepted them as fact. And then we kind of look around the world and we go, okay, see, that proves it. For example, when it comes to weight loss, specifically this time of the year, one of the beliefs we might be holding is losing weight during the holidays is hard. See, that's not true. I mean, it's true for us because we have accepted that. But there are other people who have trouble gaining weight. I mean, how wrong is that? But nonetheless, that would therefore be their belief. Our belief is it's hard, closely held value, we accept it as a fact, and we validate it by observation. In other words, we've seen time and time and time again that it's difficult to do it. Therefore, that has become a belief. So if we want to change our attitude, that belief is going to be difficult to change. We can do it by changing what we observe. And that's why we talk a lot in this course about focusing on the positives, because once we start focusing on the positives, then we start realizing, hey, wait a second, it isn't necessarily as hard as I thought, which will start to shift our beliefs. But that's a long-term strategy. And it's a good one. If you want to change your weight for the rest of your life, you've got to work on the beliefs. However, in the immediate, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling overloaded or you don't think you can make it, that's got to do more with attitude. That's got to do more with attitude, and we have to therefore change our attitude quickly. And so we can't change it by changing our beliefs. We change it by changing our feelings. So that leads to, first of all, our feelings. Can we adjust our feelings? And the answer is we can. If we don't accept that we can adjust our feelings, then we are forever condemned to be the victim of our own feelings. So we have to first take that. If the belief is, I cannot change my feelings, we got a problem. So I want you to, if you do have that belief, just kind of go with me for a little bit and say, okay, Scott's been right on a lot of this so far. Not that we're keeping score, although I am. Scott's been right on a lot of this so far. So maybe, indeed, one's feelings are within one's control. But how do I change them? So let's take a look at what feelings are made out of. And feelings are made out of three things. The first thing that the feelings are made out of, in no particular order, is our experiences. This is the way we were raised. We were told, for example, that big boys don't cry. So boys, and let's specifically talk about anger is a good example, because the four primary colors of feelings, as we've talked about before, are sad, mad, glad, and afraid. And mad, a lot of times, is a mask. It's not even a real feeling. So sad, glad, and afraid are probably the three primary ones. The reason mad might not be a real feeling is because if you're a man, a lot of times you've been raised, especially if you are of my age group, that big boys don't cry. So if your experience, if what you have learned is big boys don't cry, and you're sad, you will mask it because sadness and fear are not masculine, but anger is, at least within our society. Now, I'm not endorsing that. I got years enough of therapy to teach me that that's not the case. But nonetheless, that's how we were raised, and that goes back to a very, very early age. So we would say, okay, well, I'm not sad, I'm not afraid, because guys aren't sad and guys aren't afraid, therefore I'm angry, because that's the nearest feeling. I'm certainly not happy. So sometimes anger is a mask. For women, on the other hand, because women are raised to be more demure, rightly or wrongly, and I realize it's a stereotype, but just using this as an example. So if a woman shows up as presents as angry, she might be labeled as something unpleasant, a witch with a bee. Okay, you got it? So because we don't like to be labeled that way, as an unpleasant person, as aggressive, as bitchy, then the mask would come in, and the socially accepted form of feeling in that case is sadness or fear. So women tend to default more towards the sadness and the fear side, men towards the anger side. And again, not placing a value judgment, just explaining. But our feelings are comprised in part based on what our past has been. So that's the first thing. Now, can we change our past? No, we can't. So we have to take a look at the next thing, our biology. Our feelings are indeed biologically driven too. There's reasons for our feelings. Sadness is to cleanse. Anger and fear are to protect. One by pushing others away, one by moving away. Happiness, I believe, is the most natural state of being, but it gets masked in all the other stuff that's going on. So if the proverbial saber-toothed tiger is running after you, you will be afraid and you will therefore run. So our biology also controls somewhat of our feelings. Can you change your biology? Well, that's why there's alcohol and drugs, but for the most part, you can't, and that's not the healthy way to do it. So if we can't change our biology and we can't change our history, and we do believe that we want to change our feelings, then the only option we have is to change our response. And the difference between response and react is what we've naturally learned to do. That's the habit. Response is to stop and think about it. So if, for example, I'm feeling myself agitated or angry, I have to take a look at what's going on with me, slow myself down. And when I slow myself down and I can think, okay, what is really happening in here, then I will notice that my feelings will change. This is why the count to 10 thing comes up. And it also works for sadness too, but is count to 10 and stop and say, okay, what is happening here? Why am I feeling this way? That will adjust your feelings. If you adjust your feelings, that's one half of the feelings and belief structure, then your attitude will change. If you adjust your attitude, then you will act differently. If you act differently, you will get a different reaction. If you get a different reaction, you can say, wow, good for me, look what I've done. So as you go through the holiday period and you find all of these emotions are welling up and they are triggering you, they don't make you, but they're triggering you to eat, slow yourself down long enough. Even if you have to leave the room or change the environment, slow yourself down long enough to say, okay, I'm going to respond to this a little differently. And then watch what happens with your feelings. And then watch what happens with your attitude, which will then affect what you do. Okay, so that's the lesson on how to deal with all the emotions and the attitude that are coming up during the holidays. As always, more is coming up. Share on our Facebook group. If you're not involved in our text group, make sure to text to EZ, those are the letters EZ, TTIMI, as in this time I mean it, to 313131. By the way, if you're having trouble doing that, you need to call your provider and tell them that your short codes are blocked. I know, isn't it embarrassing? But anyway, stay in touch. Get in touch with me in any way, shape, or form.